Hello there. This is the Pathfinder 10-inch skillet. It is all stainless steel. It has a aluminum cladding on the bottom. This is a really nice pan. It's stainless steel, like I said. And the thing about stainless steel is you have to let stainless steel come up to the proper temperature. And with this stove, I have a lot of control over the heat, but it's still a very small flame. I have that little grill on top of it, and it's helping the pan to be really stable. So far, it seems to be real stable. Um, but I need to let this pan come up a little bit, and I don't want it to. I don't want to burn the living snot out of it. I'm not trying to, cook over a blowtorch. I want the temperature to come up so that the pan will not stick. One of the secrets of cooking with a stainless steel pan is you have to have really good heat control. You have to be able to get the pan up to a really good heat, the operating temperature that you're going to cook at. If it's not, the food will stick. And the thing with it is you pretty much need to understand your stove and the cookware and what your operating temperature is going to be. And so this might stick a bit until I learn the combination of this pack stove and this pan. But that's part of cooking with stainless, and in my opinion, it's worth the learning curve because let's put it this way, stainless steel almost or nothing for me unless it was cast iron. Yeah, I like that. I can hear the pan ticking. One of the things, if you look at, and I'm going to use some canola oil, what I'm going to do, we'll put a little bit of oil in this pan. And I'm looking, and do you see that it's smoking? Okay, that's what I want right there. That was almost a disaster. But that's what I want. And regardless of what people will tell you, you should use some oil in a stainless steel pan. Okay, this is not a non-stick, which if you're not using oil in a non-stick pan, you're causing problems that you shouldn't, because that non-stick surface, a lot of the older style, I don't know about the newer stuff, but a lot of the older Teflon skillets and things like that, if you heat that Teflon surface up without oil in it, it releases toxic gases that you shouldn't be breathing. There's been many a person that's killed their bird, okay, because they did that. So, I mean, that's something you should be aware of. That's browning very nicely. And we're not sticking. Of course, I got a ton of oil in there, but we're going to put mushrooms in here. So the mushrooms are going to go and suck up the oil. So that's why I put all that oil in there. Anyway, I don't remember what I was saying. If you learn how to properly preheat your pan and how to control the temperature in the pan, you don't have any problems cooking on stainless steel. The problem is that people don't let the pan get up to heat. they rush things, or they have too much heat on it, and either one is going to be bad. If you've got too much heat on it, it's going to burn, period. But what I want to do, I always do, this is a scratch meal, okay? I don't have anything prepackaged, but like I have some powdered bouillon because I didn't want to carry cans of broth with me because they weigh 14.5 ounces. And I'm packing in, okay? But if you learn how to control your heat and preheat your pan, I've not seasoned this pan. Seasoning a cast iron pan it's a load of hokum. Okay, they'll tell you to put the oil in and wipe it all the way around the inside of the surface of the pan that you're cooking on, then put it on heat and let it come up until the heat starts to smoke a little bit, and then they will say take it off the heat and let it rest, and then do that 2 or 3 more times. But most of them at the end of that, they'll say, well, you got to do that every month. The key to cooking in stainless steel is temperature. Proper temperature and proper preheating so that the skillet is up to operating temperature before you put food in it. And I'm trying to keep these kind of flat so stuff doesn't roll off this log that I'm using. And the mushrooms have just a little bit of dirt on them. I don't know if you can see that. You can obsess about that if you want to. You should understand the way commercial mushrooms are grown. Now, if it's excessive, I'll wipe some of it off, but they are grown, and this is not really dirt. It's a growing medium that is sterile, completely sterile. If it wasn't, the mushrooms would not grow well. So that is not something that I'm going to freak out about or worry about. I'm just going to cut me up some mushrooms and enjoy them. You do you, but that's the skinny on that dirt that those mushrooms are grown in. It's not a big deal. That's what I'm talking about right there. But back to what I was talking about earlier. You should understand that if you properly know how to cook, and I'm going to talk about this. Let me adjust the angle of that camera a bit. Okay, I'm going to talk about this. If you've been a member or watched this channel any length of time, you know that I did some cooking outside, out back on a big Coleman camp stove, all right? The point of it is, did I lose a mushroom? No, good deal. I'm gonna cut me up some more. But the point of it is that if you are gonna eat your own food, then you should learn how to cook. It's not difficult, and you're gonna see, hopefully, that even with this little pack stove and a decent skillet, you can cook a quality meal. That's all I need that knife for, I think. You can cook a quality meal outside and eat well. It doesn't all have to be prepackaged foods or freeze-dried stuff. I've got some fine sea salt. I normally don't like that. I prefer kosher salt because I can't get that open. So here we go again. Kosher salt has large enough grains that I can feel in my hand between my fingers and tell how much salt I'm putting in something. And so I prefer kosher salt. But we're going to work with what we've got. And you might think, well, you burned our sausage. No, that's how I like it. So you do you and I'll do me. And cracked black pepper. Plenty of that, because of course, why not? All right, those mushrooms aren't perfect, but you see there's a lot of that oil that's already gone. Okay, it's gone because the mushrooms, that's hot. It's gone because the mushrooms went and sucked it all up. So now what I'm going to do, we have a little bit of oil left in there. So this is flour. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make what's known, and I need to put a little bit more oil in that, as a roux. It's an equal parts, roughly, of oil or fat and flour, and it is used as a thickening agent. If you go to the old Cajun and Southern cooking restaurants, particularly Cajun and Southern stuff, you'll see almost everything that you're using is going to be, almost everything that you're eating, rather, you're going to use a roux. So what I'm going to do now, and as this, I'm going to pour some water in this, because I'm going to a lot of water in this. There's a reason for that. I need to turn that up a bit. Not that high. I'm not trying to burn the bottom of my pan to death. But I'm going to put a lot of water in this. And I'm going to bring it to a boil. I probably should have put a little bit more flour in this. But, it's what it is. This is a granulated bouillon. product to give it some flavor instead of just the plain water. And I'm going to put a couple of these in here. I'm sure it's full of flipping salt too, but it is what it is right now. This is what we got. Like I said, I didn't want to pack 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds worth of chicken broth into the woods. Let's let that come up a bit. This stove works really well. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to help this along and put a lid on that. While we're doing that, I want to talk a little bit about the clothing that I'm wearing. It's a cool day. It's probably 40, maybe 42. Well, a lot of you wouldn't think that was cool depending on where you come from. But I mean, it was 30 degrees when I left the house this morning. So I'm guessing at about 40. But you also have to understand that on the water, let me check that. I need to adjust that. Hold on a minute. That's something else you shouldn't be without. What we're going to do is, if you look at this thing here, it's not sitting where I want it to, so I'm going to set gotta make sure I set that just right. Alright, so now let's go back to what we were talking about. Temperature. Right now it's probably about 40 degrees. Like I said, when I left the house, it was probably 30 degrees. And it gets much colder here in Virginia than that, but it's a cool day. And I'm alongside the water. And if you don't do a lot of stuff outside, I hope that my videos will inspire you to go out into the woods, go out into nature, and do something. Just find something you like and do it. Okay, but the thing with it is if you're not familiar with doing that in cooler months, you should understand that alongside the water, it's always going to be a few degrees cooler than it will be everywhere else. So the way I'm dressed is important. I want to talk a bit about dressing for wintertime while I am working on this, waiting on this to come up to a boil. That's a lot of water. This is a canvas shirt that's basically got a flannel lining. Okay. Under that, I have, from my skin up, a cotton t-shirt, a long-sleeved cotton shirt, and a flannel shirt on top, and then this over that. If it was really cold, I would probably have a sweater on top of that. Okay, and sweatpants underneath my regular pants. I don't have anything under these pants, just my underwear, because I really don't expect it to get extremely cold. And contrary to what most people uh, experience, if my torso is warm, I don't give a flying flip if my hands and my feet are cold. So, or my legs or anything like that. Even in really, really cold weather, it doesn't bother me all that much. I would wear extra clothing in really cold weather to, because I know it's unwise not to. Okay, but when you look at clothing, the first thing that people will tell you is that cotton kills, and it can. Okay, but I have worn cotton all of my life because I'm a country boy. Okay, and I never was well off, middle class, or any of that sort. I've never really been poor, although a lot of people would have considered me poor. I grew up part times in the projects, where uh, let's put it this way. I grew up in a neighborhood where we were only the only white family there. That's how poor we were. And I'm not knocking African Americans. Some of my very best friends in my entire life have been African American. I could give five flips what color you are or anything else. Okay. Um, but I don't consider myself poor. I never have. But I'm not middle class, and I'm certainly not well off. And so I can't go out and buy all these high tech fabrics that they tell you wick moisture away from your body and all of that. Okay. And I'm going to get back to that in a minute. So I use what I have, cotton. Now, the reason people will tell you that cotton kills is because cotton absorbs moisture and it's very, very difficult to dry. In other words, if I fell in that water, I'd have to take all of my clothes off. I'd have to build a rip-roaring fire and take all of my clothes off, and I'd have to hang them somewhere close to that fire so that they would dry, because they're not going to dry on me. All they're going to do is take me into hypothermia if I keep them on. Okay. So cotton can kill you in that way, but also people don't understand that if you work really hard and raise your core temperature and you begin to sweat, if you sweat a lot, listen, in cold weather, to sweat is to die. And I don't care what kind of clothes you have on. Well, like I said, we'll get to that in a minute. But because your inside layers are going to get wet. Okay? And if you have something like cotton on, you're back almost to the same situation you would be in if you had fallen into that river. Okay? So you need to understand that when you're moving around and working with cotton clothing on, you have to make sure and pay attention to your body not to overwork. If you are beginning to try to sweat, you're either going to remove a layer of clothing or you're going to slow yourself down and let your core temperature get back down somewhere in a normal range. And then if you want to continue working, you need to work at a slower pace that doesn't raise that core temperature. If you pay attention to your body and what's happening and what you're doing, cotton materials are fine. Okay? Now, I'm not a survival expert. Don't take this as expert advice. If you go out in the woods and sweat like crazy in cotton and you die of hypothermia, I don't want your family coming back and saying, oh, he told me I could do that. Okay. The only person responsible for your life is you, okay? That's one of the problems we have in this world today is people think somebody else is responsible for them. Listen, if you go out somewhere, anywhere, and act a fool and don't pay attention and be self-aware, like, okay, if you go into the Walmart parking lot and you park somewhere in the middle of the night and go into Walmart and you walk back to your car and you're not paying attention to what's going on around you and who's around you and the way they're acting and stuff like that, then it's, you know, you're responsible to protect yourself from some jerk out there that's trying to do you harm. The police aren't going to protect you. You call them so they can clean up the pieces and try to figure out what happened. Okay? They're not going to get to you in time. It's the same thing out here in these woods. I'm out here all by myself. Who's responsible for me? Who could possibly be responsible for me? There's only one person. It's me. That's why that pack you saw me walking into here with on my back, I got a shelter in it. And I got one that's situated for winter time. If I need a shelter, if something happens out here and I break a leg or twist an ankle or do something like that, I at least got a shot at erecting a shelter to survive through the night. There's a ton of, I don't know if you've noticed it, but there's a crap ton of wood laying around here, so I don't have to worry about firewood. My approach to layering, okay, in the wintertime, what keeps a person warm is not the clothes that they have on. It's not even the fabrics that they're made out of. It's the layering process and how that process is done. A lot of times I've seen people that supposedly have like that high-tech clothing, and they put clothes on, and the blooming clothes are like, they put layers on, but the layers are like form-fitting almost to their body. That ain't how you layer, okay? Every piece of clothing that I have on is a bit bigger than it should be. Because what I want to do is I want to create layers inside or wrapped around me that have gaps so that I can get some air between those different layers of clothing. Because what will happen is this outer shell, which is heavier, will tend to hold my warmth, my body warmth in, and I'll have warm air between all of those different layers. That's what keeps me warm. It's what will help me to survive in extremely cold temperatures. Okay, it's a layering system. Now, if I was in really extremely cold temperatures, I'd have a heavier outer coat on. But, and I'd probably have a sweater or a sweatshirt on as well as the rest of the clothes that I have on. But, I mean, that's what you've got to understand. And the thing of it is those high-tech garments, they're not a guarantee that you're not going to freeze. Okay? Once again, it comes down to you're responsible. And I can have all the high-tech clothing, all the high-tech survival gadgets, but if I don't know how to use it, and I don't have the common sense necessary, I'm probably going to flip and die. Okay? Once again, you are the only one that is responsible for your life. I know some people don't want to hear that. The sooner you get used to understanding that you're the responsible party in life for the things that happen in your life and how you deal with them, the better off you're going to be, because I'm going to tell you something right now. Ain't nobody else cares. And ain't nobody else in a position, not like you do. How do you have anybody in your life that cares for your life more than you? I would pretty much venture a hazard to guess that you don't, that you're the one that cares the most about you. And so you've got to take care of you. So that's kind of my rant and my little talk here by the stove. And this video is probably going to be blooming long. Hopefully people will bear with it. So let's get back to this because we got some action happening here. Okay, so we have a boil, a few egg noodles in here. Let me turn that heat up just a bit more. Well, we're gonna stir in some egg noodles. Uh, the temperature that we're at here right now has also got something to do with cooking. A camp stove and and just the ingredients like water and all of that, they have under ideal conditions they cook differently than with a lot of temperature, a lower temperature rather. So what we're going to do, we're going to let that boil, then we'll be back. All right, so we are actually done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this over because I don't need all this heat for this, for what I'm going to do next. So let me sit this over here, and before we finish that dish, what I want to do is I'm going to heat me up some water so that I can make me some coffee. This is a 24-ounce cup, so if I put about half, if I feel that about half full, about like that, and I'm going to just lightly sit that on top of there. Bring that to a boil. I have some instant coffee. Yeah, I didn't pack in the stuff for cowboy coffee. Maybe later. So now what I'm going to do to finish this dish is I'm going to put me some cheddar cheese. No, I don't have a name for this. This is good old country cooking. Did your mom, when you asked your mom and she fixed this, if you were blessed enough to have a southern mom, when you asked your mom what she was cooking for dinner, did she have a fancy name for it? She said noodly stuff. That's what this is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw me some plentiful cheese in there because, why? Because it's mine and I can do it. Okay? That's why. That will melt in that water there. If it don't, it'll be good enough. For me, anyway. But I will throw some cheese in there, and actually, what I'm going to do is throw some more cheese in there. I can smell that cheddar already. It smells absolutely gorgeous. Let me taste that first. I might not need any more than that. Oh, no, not even. That tastes really slamming good right there. Oh yeah. And just because I want to and like it, I'm gonna take me some of this. Oh, it fell. That's all right. It won't hurt it now. This, my friends, is my favorite herb on the face of the blooming planet. Some fresh basil. Gorgeous. Sit that over there. And I'm just going to stir that in. See, I've almost got a gravy going on. Well, I do. You see that? See that? If you were to... See? Lovely. That beats some kind of freeze-dried hiking meal by a mile. Let's eat. While I wait for my coffee to actually stand by. The Bible says once you've eaten, give thanks to the Lord for what you've received, for a full belly. Let me adjust that. We tend to do it before. No shame. Thank you, Father, for the food that you've given me, Lord, and the place in which I'm eating it. Bless it in the name of Jesus. Amen. And my coffee water is getting close to boiling. That's what I'm talking about. And stand by. That is all the hot that I really want. That just a very light sort of boil. Let's turn that off. You one of the trash bag I brought with me. Look you. This one, there we go. It was being stubborn. So what I'm gonna do, because we're out here in the woods, I'm gonna use that same spoon. Of course, after I licked it off real good. Yeah, that's right. Yes, I drink my coffee black. Sometimes I put a little bit of sweetener in it, but not often. Oh yeah. And on a chilly day like this, that's perfect. So I do appreciate you coming along. I'm gonna sit here and enjoy the view and enjoy my lunch. Get out in the woods. It's good for you. Bless you, and I'll talk to you later.